My name is Lieutenant Colonel John Caldwell. I am Thunderbird 1, the commander leader for this team. Thunderbird 1 job is commander leader. That's the title of the position. I'd like to make the distinction that the commander comes first and then it's leader. Being a commander of the United States Air Force is an incredible responsibility. It's a privilege. And as a commander, you're responsible for the safety, well-being, and mission execution while managing over 130 personnel in the squadron. And managing humans is arguably more difficult than the most advanced weapon we have. And without capable human beings, these weapons, the technology, the capability of the Air Force really doesn't amount to a whole lot. So as a commander, as a squadron commander, your job is to manage the human weapon system, which is our most critical resource that we have in the Air Force. The second part of the job is leader. So I'm the leader of the 6-ship demo that we perform at the air shows throughout the United States. That is also a very demanding job in light of the fact that your primary responsibility is to be a commander, which takes a lot of time. So I would argue that this commander-leader position is unique in the sense that you fly more than probably any other commander who's out there in the Air Force just by the nature of the mission and how difficult and challenging it can be to do it precisely and safely. It requires a lot of flight training, it requires a lot of attention to detail, studying in the books, etc. So a lot of demands on the time for the commander-leader of this squadron because they are not only managing 130 human weapon systems, they are also trying to hone their skills at leading a 6-ship demo and doing it proficiently in a way that is going to reflect credit upon the Air Force at these air shows that we go to. So at a young age, I was very interested in aviation. I knew that was one of my passions, so I knew I wanted to get into the flying business in some way, shape, or form. Attended a lot of air shows when I was a child and coincidentally saw the Thunderbirds performing, and that kind of started me down the track of looking at the Air Force. My father was in the Navy Reserve, so I had some exposure to military bases early on, and I just kind of liked the culture of the military. You could tell things were slightly different inside the base confines as opposed to outside of it. So as I grew up, I finally decided that my passion for aviation and my desire to serve in the military would be best suited by me joining the Air Force. The fighter mission is incredibly complex and it's incredibly difficult to get your arms around it. It requires continual, constant study. You're never going to be at the point where you know everything and you're prepped for every mission because the enemy is evolving and changing every single day, and so do our TTPs and so do our equipment. So we need people to stay completely engaged and motivated to be the best they possibly can be. So the first thing I would say about the fighter culture that I appreciate is there is a true spirit of competition. Not just against other pilots, but against yourself to be the best you can be. And that's something that we have fostered and grown in the fighter community pretty vigorously. And that leads to kind of a camaraderie that you build with folks around you when you're working on something that's incredibly difficult and you're putting all your energy that you possibly can into it. So you develop a real close-knit kind of connection with the guys around you because they're right there in the trenches trying to do the best they can just as you are. It's a nice community to be in. It's a lot of extra hours, a lot of weekends studying in the vault, a lot of extra trips, out to the range to really hone your skills. And I think the culture is what kind of makes us great, because without it, if we just kind of were complacent or we didn't have that spirit of competition, then we would be an okay Air Force. We would be an average Air Force. But what America needs and what we need is the best Air Force and the greatest Air Force in the world, and that's what we are.